Okay, so this is Monday, October the 13th, and what I want to talk about is yesterday was the my family Thanksgiving, um, and it's not just my family Thanksgiving. I noticed this last week at the grocery store as well. Um, anyways, unfortunately, as we're going to talk about, you know, my current financial situation. So I'm in a situation of or season of impoverishment, and oh goodness, I've already noted um, the dissimilar. I'm just looking for the proper word, but anyways, the treatment that I've been receiving from select people, select personalities is much different than the way the same people would have treated me. In the past when I had more discretionary income, and I definitely wouldn't be classified with the impoverished population. And anyways, I think this is a wonderful. I've always desired to talk about these things experientially while in the moment. It is similar to oh goodness, it's similar to like rejection. It's one thing to talk about rejection. So say like for a young man, if he has interest in a beautiful young woman, and then he experiences all the nerves and the nervousness that comes with the potential rejection. And so everyone's going to deal with that differently. And oftentimes, like, we can deal with it with a bravado where we act as if we don't care, or if we already have read the signs and we realize that woman she's already made herself available to us. So then we can go with the confidence that she's already given us the green light. Or for the person that is very sincere and they want everything to happen organically and natural, they go through that phase where they have no walls, no bravado, and they're just sincere. And when they make the request, or politely make their intentions known, there's going to be that waiting period. So that threshold that occurs from the moment they do to the moment they get the response back from the young woman. And it is very difficult to go through, and it is you experience like a physiological reaction where you feel tense, your thoughts start racing, and you feel like your thoughts are hyperactive, et cetera, et cetera. And we're say hypothetically that the response is negative, and it's also maybe um, a little more cruel, or a little more insensitive than it would need to be. Um, that is something like there's growth that occurs when you receive that, and you have the perspective where you say, okay, I asked a question, and I would have loved to advance, or at least I thought I would have loved to advance, but this is the response that they gave. And regardless of whether their response was packaged in a very sensitive nature, or was very unrefined and highly insensitive, I'm going to be thankful to the person regardless. This is part of my growth. This is part of me being honest and living without any masks, and living without any bravado, and putting myself out there, make myself vulnerable. And unfortunately, rejection is part of that. Sometimes what you ask for is it's accepted. Other times it's not. But it's never acceptable for me to take out any of my feelings, or to on somebody else. And so more importantly, I can go even deeper with this. Those feelings need to be addressed. So what is the source of these feelings? Um, these feelings, they're kind of like water seeping into a boat. They came in through an entry point. So what is the entry point? So it's wonderful. You get this just like somebody who has water in a boat. If you um, see it from the correct perspective, you see that the water in the boat actually alerts you to the holes or the punctures in the bottom of the boat, which means you now are able to see and face the reality or the actuality of punctures in the boat. And that once they're filled in, and once they're secure, then the issue is resolved, and then you can move forward, and you can actually deal with like the water in the boat and all the residual effects of the water in the boat, and then you move forward and you sail off to the sunset. It's the same thing with this. There's these emotions, where say like with rejection, they indicate insecurities. And unfortunately, if a bravado is like a fake cover of an insecurity, it's not dealing with the source of the insecurity, it's just masking over it. And so going through, and I remember going through a situation like that with a young woman. Oh, she's so beautiful. And she's got really thick and bushy eyebrows, really long hair too. But there's some beautiful piece about her, and she's just very feminine. And I asked her on a date, and it took 7 days. Well, I might be exaggerating. It took a few days. It took a week or under a week for her to reply. And during that time, I thought, okay, like I feel really insecure. I feel like very, very vulnerable around her. It's because I was just being myself around her. I wasn't putting on a facade. I wasn't trying to pretend to be somebody I'm not. Um, you know, and yeah, I really, really, yeah, I thought the world of her. And she said in a really polite, in a very sensitive way, but yeah, she wasn't interested. And I thought, this is the best. It hurts. Oh goodness, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts more than you could ever imagine. But that's part of growth. And I thought, oh, this is actually a wonderful, like, praise God. I am delighted, and I have the most wonderful opportunity to have the root, or the source of this hurt revealed. So this hurt reveals that there's a source to it, and the source was just my insecurity. I was very insecure about the way, like who I was, who she thought I was, and what I could offer, and all these different things. And I realized, okay, well, if I have those insecurities, well, then they need to be addressed. So if there are things that I can deal with and things that I can take care of, right away, then I'll do that right away. If there are things that will take a lot longer, say like obesity, for example, you would want to go on a crash diet, but you need to change your thoughts on healthy food and, your reasoning for eating. Are you eating because you feel uncomfortable, or are you eating specifically to live a healthier life? Once you have that motive identified, then you can start adding to it and adding the proper instruction that's going to lead you in the right direction. And then give yourself 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. You're gonna notice small and gradual changes, which equate to, big, noticeable changes. So it's a whole change of lifestyle, a whole change of your patternized thinking. If it's something that you can't change right away, but you're working on it, you can accept yourself and know that, you can't force yourself to have those changes done too quick. If it's something that you can't change and you feel secure about it, such as my teeth, I realized, well, then that the problem lays within me. That's a lie that I believed in. The smile in itself is not beautiful. It's the sincerity and the sincere emotion that evoked the smile and brought the smile on your face. And I don't look at anybody and think, oh goodness, I wish they wouldn't smile like that. In fact, I want everybody to smile naturally. So I need to also have the same standard for myself, and I can smile from the eyes. And so, anyways, but that's something I have to overcome, because it's a lie that I've come into agreement with prior, and I've believed in. And then from that was a channel, or an open hole, um, you know, from an insecurity, and then anxiety can come in through that open hole. So, anyways, so then it's wonderful it gets patched up. So with this young woman, I was just very thankful, and I wanted to make sure I was very polite to her, regardless of how she talked, and regardless of whether she was sensitive or insensitive back to me. And she was a gentle woman. She was very, very sensitive and very kind, and I was very appreciative of that, of her kindness. And but it's important for me to be accountable for my actions and my words. And so regardless, I was going to thank her, and I was going to respect her decision. But more importantly than that, I had to battle in my mind. The first thought I wanted to have was to reject her, and to think, you're not that pretty, you're not that this, you're not that. There was like this weird aggressiveness inside of me that wanted to defend myself. So that was identified and it was exposed. And what I replaced it with, because I have control or dominion over the thoughts that enter my mind, is no, it hurts. And in my hurt, I want to reject everybody and push everybody away and, do this and do that. But that's wrong of me. That's completely wrong of me. I would hate if others did that to me. And that just reveals that it's like a defense mechanism. And it actually can victimize people. You're beautiful. You're just as beautiful as you were when I asked you on the date. You're so kind, and I really sense God's peace over you. And I think you're just a wonderful, wonderful young woman. But I also respect you. You might not feel the same way about me in terms of like romance or romantic connection. And I am very thankful that you're honest with yourself and that you had the courage to be direct and to say no. And I thank you for that. And you handled everything really well. And I'm learning how to handle things very well without being emotionally charged and ruled by my emotions or ruled by my insecurities, because otherwise it impacts my attitude. And when it impacts my attitude, that's a reflection of myself and how I feel about myself. So going through impoverishment, it's very humbling, but it's quite nice. You know, I have a lot. There's insecurities that I've adopted, and they're being praise God, they're being identified right now. And these are insecurities that they might not be identified or they might not be revealed. So when I had finances or much discretionary income, or sorry, more discretionary income, um, there were certain things that I liked, certain fashions that I liked, and I could just afford them, and I never thought twice about them. So I felt very confident and comfortable in the clothing that I was wearing. Now I'm on a very strict budget, and in that very strict budget, there's certain things I just can't afford. I have to live within my means. That means I have to humble myself. And I bought some blue jeans, for example, for a very reasonable price, but you can tell they're not designer blue jeans. And they don't have the comfortable fit that I normally like or normally would purchase. And I feel a little insecure in them. So that reveals to me that I'm getting my confidence from, labels on some blue jeans, which means I'm getting my confidence from the appraisal or the the societally accepted, you know, appraisal that certain labels on blue jeans and certain cuts of denim, receive. So I'm more or less ruled by the opinions of others. And also too, there can be a snap judgment over me where people see that clothing and instantly they say, okay, this person is in this social economic bracket, and then stigmas and judgments can proceed from there. That's a reality or an actuality in our society. It's something that's never going to go away as long as like there's reasons for these things, and as long as those reasons and the sources for those things are still there, these things are always going to remain. However, I don't have to fall prey to them and I don't have to subscribe to them, but most importantly, I don't have to come into agreement with them. So I felt insecure, but that insecurity is caused by, me feeling like my value is associated with the finances that I have in my bank and the assets that I possess. I don't believe that, and I say I don't believe that in my heart, but what my emotions and what my insecurities are revealing is that I do actually believe in that, in spite of how much I want to say I don't believe in it. So that means I agree with it. If I didn't agree with it, then my confidence would always be the same, regardless if I had designer pants or non-designer pants. It would never be about the image, and it would never be about the label that's on them. So anyway, so going through this time of impoverishment is quite wonderful because I get to see these things and I'm confronted with the realities in my own heart and the realities and we're say the incongruencies in my own belief system. This is wonderful. And it will also point me to where do I get my confidence from? If I feel good about myself, do I feel good about myself because I see myself the way God sees me, and I see the value that God has like in me, and I see the wonderful things that the Lord's doing through me, and I see value in that, or do I simply just see through a lens that has been basically, um, I'm thinking of the proper word, but provide it with a ranking system that our society has basically signed off on. So, anyways, I'll talk more about this later. There's a distraction I noted is coming up, so I'm going to cut this short and avoid that distraction. But, anyways, I'll talk more about this later. But I think these are wonderful points to ponder, and it just provides a different perspective. So, when you're going through a season of impoverishment, there's a lot of good things to learn if you're able to focus on them and to see them, but also to face the reality that's occurring in the actuality of your heart and your thought process, and if you're able to see the cause and the effect of insecurities and just how much impact they actually have on us and the choices that we make and the overall reality and environment and atmosphere around us. Again, I think this is wonderful, wonderful conversation and conversational topics. God bless you.